I'm two here.
What was your dog's name?
Food.
What happened to him?
He got, well, he never made it to Idaho.
Norman Peevler is a self-taught, self-made man. He is also a walking, talking history book of Jim County and his life here, from the beginning 78 years ago.
You got here when you were 5.
5 years old.
You remember all that?
I remember every day of it.
Okay.
March the 4th of 1934, and I was 6. I was 6 in May, and in September I started the first grade at Vander Dawson down here by Tom's cabin. Yeah. That's the old schoolhouse there. Yeah, and so then that's what I did. Went to school down there for 8 years at the grade school there. Her name was Mrs. Huddleston.
Okay, show me where you're at.
That's me right there.
Anything else in here?
Name off some of your classmates there.
Oh, this is Dick Roseberry, and this is Don Mortensen, and this and here's Dean Bilberry, and this is Ray Cornwall, and this is Earl Kimball, and man, I don't know. I know just about all of them, I guess. And that's my sister.
Where'd you go to high school?
I didn't go to high school. I outsmarted them early. I didn't need to go to school.
Norm also remembers vividly the digging of the main Black Canyon irrigation canal across the valley's south rim. The year was 1937.
They put in those tunnels. I think there's 9, and there was 3 guys died when there was, putting in the tunnels and stuff. Got caved in on, I guess, or something. But anyway, and my dad went up there and watched this machine dig in that canal. They dug 24 hours a day, and it was called a Modigan. I never seen anything like that before, and that scooped 29 cubic yards at a load. 29, and they had that all smoothed out with caterpillars and had it all staked, and for these guys that run that big machine.
Norm remembers a great story about tunnel swimming and a buddy that got the scare of his life.
One time, this buddy of mine went up there at that tunnel up there, and I had the Model A Ford. That's what I drove then, and that was my car. And so he said, "Norm, let's go through that tunnel." And it had a lot of headroom up at the front, and on the other end, it had plenty of headroom down there. I said, "You can go in there if you want to. I'll pick you up on the other end." So he dove in the ditch, and away he went. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't very good. I went down on the other end down there, and I said, he said, "Help me, Norm." He said, "It's dark in there," and he said, "It's cold," and he said, "There isn't any air." Pretty soon the water comes almost clear to the top, and sometimes it wasn't only just, and so then here he is with his head up at the top of the tunnel up there, and he was bald-headed anyway, and it took all the hair, the skin off the top of his head and his nose. I mean, he could have just about drowned it. But old Rich, he made it through. I said, "You want to go back and rerun her?" And he said, "No, I think I've had plenty of that."
In the early 50s, Norm took over the family farm on West South Slope Road. He began with cattle and eventually turned to raising mostly corn and wheat.
I took the farm over after I got out of the Navy. To start with, that field was in sagebrush first time I ever seen it. And then we had another one down here too, and my dad bought some of the land. He bought 3 parcels here. He bought a 40 to start with. Then later on, he bought 16 acres over on the far side over there, and he gives $400 for that, I think. And then that left 14 acres that was landlocked on back right here, part of it. And so he went up there one day and asked him how much he wanted for that piece of ground, and the guy said, he looked it up on the map, and he said, "Why, hell," he said, "it's landlocked." He said, "You think it's worth $25? And my dad said, "I think so." So he gave him $25 for that 14 acres. And then later on, some years later, then I bought this other 23 acres right here that joined it, and it makes me 93. So, and then I leveled the whole thing, deep plowed it, and almost every bit of this place here, and put in pipelines and structures and stuff like that so it would work good. The pipelines are gated pipes to irrigate with, and so we do that now with my daughter's help here, and And we get out there and dig the ends out and do whatever it takes, raising corn and wheat.
Norm raised 5 kids on the farm, and daughter Shannon is still very much involved in helping Dad get the work done. Norman Peebler, 78 years a resident of Jim County, and in 2012, a Jim of Jim County.